What if I told you there's a country in Europe where you can eat like a king for $5, hike through landscapes that look straight out of a fantasy novel, and walk through thousand-year-old cities without running into a single tour group? That place exists. It's called Georgia. And if you're planning a solo trip and haven't considered it yet, you're about to change your mind. Stay until the end, because reason number 3 alone might be enough to book your flight tonight. Number 1. Tbilisi is one of the most underrated capital cities on the planet. Most people picture Eastern Europe as gray, cold, and post-industrial. Tbilisi destroys that stereotype completely. The Old Town, called Abanotubani, is a maze of carved wooden balconies, sulfur bathhouses, and cobblestone alleys that feel like they haven't changed in 5 centuries. You can spend 3 full days here just wandering, and every corner gives you something new. For solo travelers, this is ideal. The city is safe, walkable, and incredibly easy to navigate. English is widely spoken among younger locals, and Georgians are, genuinely, some of the most hospitable people you will ever meet. Number 2. The food will ruin you for everywhere else. Georgian cuisine is one of the best-kept secrets in the culinary world. And when you're traveling solo, food becomes your main social experience, and Georgia delivers. Khinkali are giant soup dumplings filled with spiced meat or mushrooms. You eat them with your hands. Khachapuri is a cheese-filled bread boat with a raw egg cracked on top. Churchkila are walnut and grape juice candies that look like candles and taste like nothing you've had before. A full sit-down meal at a local restaurant, appetizers, main course, house wine, will cost you between $4 and $8. That's not a typo. Georgia is also one of the oldest wine-producing regions in the world, over 8,000 years of tradition. If you're a wine person, this alone justifies the trip. Number 3. The landscapes are completely insane. This is the one that gets people. Georgia sits at the crossroads of Europe and Asia, with the Greater Caucasus Mountains forming its northern border with Russia. These are not small mountains. We're talking peaks over 5,000 meters, dramatic valleys, and villages that have existed in near total isolation for centuries. The most iconic spot is Kazbegi, a small town in the mountains, 3 hours from Tbilisi by shared minibus. Above the town sits the Georgian Trinity Church, a medieval monastery perched on a ridge at 2,170 meters, with Mount Kazbek, a 5,047-meter volcano, rising behind it. It's one of the most photographed spots in the entire Caucasus region. And in shoulder season, you can have it almost to yourself. For solo hikers, the trail to the church takes about 2 hours. No guide needed. No entry fee. Just you and one of the most dramatic views on Earth. Number 4. Solo travel here is remarkably affordable. Georgia uses its own currency, the Georgian lari. $1 gets you roughly 2.7 lari as of this video. Here's what your money gets you: a bed in a good hostel in Tbilisi runs between $8 and $12 per night. A private room in a guest house in the mountains, including breakfast and dinner cooked by the owner's grandmother, is around $25 to $30. Public transport between cities is cheap and functional. The marshrutka, a shared minibus, connects most towns for $1 to $3. There's also a train network that's slower but scenic and dirt cheap. A comfortable solo trip through Georgia, including accommodation, food, transport, and activities, can be done for $30 to $40 per day. Less if you're careful. Number 5. The history goes back further than you can imagine. Georgia is one of the oldest Christian nations on Earth. It converted in 327 AD, before most of Europe. But the history here goes back much further. Uplistsyke is a cave city carved into a rocky cliff, inhabited continuously from the early Iron Age, roughly 3,000 years ago. You walk through rooms, temples, and tunnels cut directly into stone, with panoramic views of the Mtkvari River valley below. Vardzia is even more dramatic, a 12th-century cave monastery built into a volcanic cliff face, with over 3,000 rooms across 19 floors. It was once home to more than 50,000 monks. These aren't reconstructions. They're original. And they're almost always quiet. Number 6. You get a beach destination included. Most people don't realize Georgia has a Black Sea coastline. The city of Batumi, in the Ajara region, is a resort town with a completely different energy from Tbilisi: palm trees, a beachfront boulevard, modern architecture, and a surprisingly lively nightlife scene. It's a jarring contrast to the mountain villages, and that's exactly what makes it interesting. In one country, 1 week, you can go from medieval cave cities to a beach resort. That range is genuinely rare. Number 7. Georgians will invite you into their home. This is not an exaggeration. The concept of hospitality in Georgia, called Tameta culture, centered around the tradition of the supra, or feast, means that being a guest is considered almost sacred. Multiple solo travelers report being invited to weddings, family dinners, and celebrations by people they met on the street or in a marshrutka. It happens constantly. For solo travelers, this transforms the experience. You're not watching Georgian culture from the outside. You end up inside it, at a table, with a glass of homemade wine, being toasted by someone's grandfather. Number 8. There are entire regions most tourists never reach. Svaneti is a mountainous region in northwestern Georgia, home to medieval defensive towers that families built centuries ago to protect themselves during blood feuds. The main town, Mestia, sits at 1,500 meters and serves as the gateway to some of the best trekking in the Caucasus. The Mestia to Ushkili trek, for days through high-altitude villages, is considered one of the top trekking routes in Europe. And because Georgia doesn't have mass tourism yet, the trail is never crowded. Getting there requires some effort. That's the point. Number 9. Visa-free entry for most nationalities, and you can stay a full year. Georgia offers visa-free entry for citizens of the US, EU, UK, Canada, Australia, and many other countries. Not for 30 days. Not for 90 days. 1 full year. This makes Georgia increasingly popular as a base for remote workers and long-term travelers. The infrastructure for this is growing fast: co-working spaces, reliable Wi-Fi in cafes, and a community of expats and digital nomads that makes it easy to meet people even when traveling alone. Number 10. It's the perfect hub for the entire region. Georgia shares borders with Armenia and Azerbaijan, and Tbilisi has direct flights to most of Central Asia. This makes it the natural starting point for anyone wanting to explore the broader post-Soviet world. From Tbilisi, you can take an overnight train to Yerevan, Armenia. A bus to Baku, Azerbaijan. Cheap flights to Almaty, Kazakhstan or Tashkent, Uzbekistan. If Georgia is your entry point, the rest of the region opens up around it. And each of those countries, as we'll cover in future videos, has its own extraordinary story. Georgia doesn't make the lists. It doesn't trend on social media. There are no influencer crowds at the viewpoints and no lines at the cave cities. That window won't stay open forever. If you're a solo traveler looking for somewhere that still feels genuinely undiscovered, this is it. Subscribe for the next video in this series. We're going to Uzbekistan next, and it's even more surprising than Georgia. See you there.